I'm going to introduce Christine Texeira. Reading Christine Texeira's fiction is like tumbling down the rabbit hole into Alice's Wonderland. Sometimes this hole is a real hole, dug by a girl who discovers the body of a woman killed by grief, a grief that death has not sated, a grief that fills her house with dozens of ripe and overripe peaches, a grief that snatches her brother. Sometimes the hole leads us to the ocean, where the loneliest whale cannot find companion, while a man aboard a ship nurses a chrysalis in the rotting flesh of his cheek. Sometimes the hole is a wound, like tiny cuts caused by tears made of glass. Other times it is a void. It is a missing brother that no one seems to remember having existed. Or it is an overfullness, a boy that is more than himself, a boy with too many body parts inside him, some that belong to someone else. Unlike in Alice's Wonderland, the wonder at the magical and strange is not at the center of Christine's fiction. It is not only the precision and elegance of her language that makes the strange familiar, but the way the otherworldly is used as an awl to pierce through to the heart. Her fiction puts you in a hole so that you can look up from the darkness to see what it has illuminated. The deep sadness of a man who cannot shake the memories of his previous life as a giant squid. The desire for freedom and the possibility of fleeing away with a family of Sasquatches. Throughout it all, there is a lightness and a humor to Christine's fiction. There is the horniest macaw. There is masturbation via the girl living inside you. To sum up why you should be prepared to be awed, touched, amused, illuminated, I'd like to read a personal ad I've written to seek one Christine Texeira. Seeking, master weaver of narrative, creator of endearing, absurd, palpably real characters, bricklayer of resonant images with an aura of the otherworldly. Please only respond if also funny, kind, overall badass. Interests, theremins, hydraulophones, pictures of small cats, men who hijack aeroplanes and parachute to uncertain fate. Skills, making quesadillas, designing stunning posters, being unbelievably on top of everything. Required, must be author of award-winning James Bond-based erotic flash fiction. Please welcome Christine Texeira.
I want to read 3 sentences that come from a longer last section of a novel project I'm working on, and in form it steals directly from Joyce's Molly Bloom, and there's a big hole in it, so this is really appropriate. Taught myself guitar since I left, could never play again on earth. The weightlessness would overshoot the frets, strum too hard, break all the strings, holding everything together, Ruth's bra, hanging off her shoulder like her hair, over her face in the car, smoking. I never thought I would keep going to school after high school, but I was good at what I did. I wanted to be good at singing or writing, but numbers made more sense to me, and words just sort of filled a page and give too many options, when one answer seemed like the best choice to any problem, even though I wished I could do something else. Like if you were really good at mowing lawns, a real mowing prodigy, but who would want to really devote themselves to cutting lawns, even if they were the best ever at it? But it's better than not being good at anything, which everyone assumed about me. Never thought I would be here with a PhD and everything else under my belt. Never thought I would be with someone like Ruth. I read Moby Dick in 7th grade, and I didn't say a word about it. Physics came so easy somehow. Probability. Should have known the risk of the drive, the distance, and the time, and the location would lead more so than other distances. Other times, other locations, to something violent, her blood all across the windshield. It took me 1 hour to get there, and no one had moved her 1 inch. Not that I deserved to be spared, seeing what I had done. Asked her to come to me, had too much work to do. Asked her to drive so we could have the car. I told her, yes, come now, be here now. Never finished that paper, a theory about information loss. Already then curious about the holes in the universe. Maybe that led me to this conclusion. To be here, to let Ruth be if I am gone. Just studying at university still. When they offered me a position, maybe they sensed a hopelessness and a desire to change things, a feeling that I was up for it. So did some troubleshooting, a few months on air systems, this goddamn air system still making that racket. They asked about my research, my interest in black holes, and they never even had to really ask, give a verbal proposition, because I knew they probably didn't want to ever ask anyone to do this, or even plant the seed, but I knew. And I said, okay, how long to get there? That's what I was worried about, the time to reach the hole, and all the lonely thoughts and tired ideas I might get. But they said not too long. The technology was new but promising, well beyond promising, they had said. And I told them to tell me all about it, and I stopped doing anything else. I spoke with my mother some and Ruth's family, but no one wanted me to go. I sent a letter to Elle through her mother, through my father's lawyer, but the lawyer only knew where Dad was, so maybe he didn't see Elle anymore. And I had no idea what she would be like anyway. Young, though, probably wouldn't be good to even start thinking about all this nonsense with time and space anyway. I just really needed this idea, that I would leave time and then everything would change and Ruth would be at the grocery store right now, deciding whether she wanted kiwis or peaches to cut and peel and suck when she arrived back at home in the heat. That would probably be happening at home now, her feeling the fuzzy exterior, imagining the pit, the seeds before taking both to mix and eat with her fingers, her shoes tossed on the floor and feet dangling off the side of the couch. Filling her was like nothing I have ever done, and nothing would ever be so imperfect and right again without, but I trained for a long time, waiting to get on this ship and be here cruising into a black hole, because what else is there to do at this point except see if I pop out at another time and stop existing here? All I can think about are hips and how much time I've spent on this ship, feeling like I can dance without gravity, and pretending to press myself against her hips, like our fucking is just as weird and crushing as this space hole I'm heading toward, and it is, it was, it could be. Wonder why we never got a dog. Waiting for me to finish school, probably. Would have been a professor or had to move to Florida. What would she have chosen? Maybe a trip to the Keys, look at those cats with all the toes and try to sneak one home, or just get really burned in the sun, the kind of burn that fades over years, a silhouette of that memory, imprinted on the body, a clear marker of what is the world's and what parts are just for me, and I am here in order to have been nowhere. The Eigengrau forces shapes, and I sometimes see ghosts on board, but usually outside the ship, in the shapes of the darkness. The focus on the stars is so important because they're all there is to see except for Loom. But it is easily pareidolia mixed with a desire to see such things, instinct and desire very powerful, with nothing to keep anything in check. I can sometimes hear something in the ship communication from Earth or somewhere else. Maybe nothing comes through clear, and I knew it wouldn't. They told me I'd be on my own. And I have been, for some time. But Loom stays just outside this chaotic space, sending back images and data of me, of the whole. It is doing the real work. It is the reason there is money, and I see it blinking, out there wishing it were just a little closer, to remember the shape it was before it stopped and I kept pressing forward. A faucet looks like two eyes and a nose, always did to me. But I never had much luck graphing clouds, pinning them to an animal or place. They changed so quickly, yet slowly, that everything and nothing appeared in them all at once. Mostly they just looked ghostly to me, even the fluffy ones, cotton balls. I guess everything now feels like a movie trailer. A lead up to this moment, maybe I even knew deep down, instinctual, with the clouds, that I would be terrified to be a ghost. To be so close but so far. Uncle Toby used to talk, his past haunting him. I never understood then what he meant. Imagine that everything he'd ever done replayed in his mind over and over. Good, bad, anything like a ghost was just watching the movie and rewinding and watching again inside his head when I brought it up. I remember his face, surprised and then slowly understanding, because it was both the things he had done and the people actually speaking to him, telling him it was okay or not okay, depending on his alcohol intake or job status. What if that is what I become, if after it all God is real and cruel for whatever reason he must be? I'll have to stick around in the world I'm leaving, watch Ruth. I wouldn't mind, but she should also be alone, have privacy. It would kill my mother, scare Elle, or strangers. Could find a location and stay there, leave people alone, and just investigate some abandoned space, maybe make some ghost friends, haunt a lovely forest, watch animals and a flowing river, or explore the sea. My head so far above I never spent much time with the depths. Wonder about sea ghosts. Must be plenty if there are any, but don't want to be stuck there. Claustrophobia, but different somehow than here. Maybe I should strap myself in. Things are banging around, but better to have my arms at the ready. Maybe practice dodging and hiding. Might need to, if I do need to be ghostly. The vapors coming up from that frozen river we went over in the car, almost not like water, or air forms coming from the ice, escaping before it completely hardened. Cigarettes. Wonder if Dad ever quit or still just leans out windows. I am slowing, at least to Loom. Time has been changing, that is true, and days have probably passed in which I'm approaching the infinite, slowing to reach where I just stop, to be viewed, but I here will just keep plummeting forward. That wristwatch from my grandfather gold, but nothing special, in a box with patches from his jumpsuit when he pumped gas, Texaco, and a pin with a naked lady on it. But the watch was the oldest I'd seen, the first one to not be working or have stopped, just a battery, she told me, but would it know when it was? When it started working again? Or would it just pick up where it left off, have to set it? Have to force it into the future, not that it could mind, like how we route water from the sea, or river, or lake, that clear kayak we could use in the Keys, see the sharks and fish beneath us, or just weeds and grass, submerged. Not sure what we could see, creatures probably feel the gaze, like photons, change, make adjustments, when they are being watched, Martin, watching me right now, can see the ship moving forward, slower and slower. Can see me inside, maybe I look dead, just floating here. Should adjust for him, but it would be too slow to notice anyway. How I walked up those stairs in that rented tux, trying not to rip my pants, guess I have a big ass, Ruth didn't mind. Shared a bench at the museum, and she squeezed right against me. Watching a video of faces with things in their mouth, watching a video of graffiti removal, looking at a painting with a man and a woman, and I held her hand then when we looked at those pencil drawings of men bent over backwards and women dancing or in pain, because I knew she felt something about them. And so did I, but it would have been invasive to say so, to break the silence, just settled my fingers over hers, and she never moved. When we got up, her hand just slipped more fully into mine, but she never said a thing about it, like we had done this every moment of every day before we made pasta salad together for 4th of July. She sang, and her parents grilled meats, and we stood together, leaning against me, looking up at the fireworks. I lit some with her brother, and we all swept the debris away and just stared at the stars, seeing the intermittent explosion beyond the trees. Neighbors spraying down their lawns and driveways, think of salmon swimming, fishing for trout, drinking whiskey. When I look at her father and he looks at me, we plan a camping trip. All of us. And it is that night I tell her about binary star systems and the best film love stories, and I remind her of that painting. And it is then and now when I say how much I want to be with her for longer than even this life can last, and she says thank you, because there is nothing else to say. Even if time does not change, it will still be okay. Loom is flashing slower outside the window like a protective cat that refuses to get too close. My mother knit me a hat for space. Good thought, she was right to do it. Was such a beautiful afternoon with her, and I hope she remembers the feeling of leaning into me and seeing such beauty in the skies just to dream about me, sometime not knowing who I am, and I'll do the same as much as I can while I'm here.